I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you very much. Now we have roll call.
Commissioner Clausen.
Here.
Commissioner Cox.
Here.
Commissioner Graven. Here. Commissioner Phipps. Mayor Hall.
Here. Okay, let's see. Consent agenda. Items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. No separate discussion of these items will occur unless a council member requests the item to be removed from the consent agenda. If an item is removed from the consent agenda, it will be considered elsewhere on the agenda for this meeting. Prior to asking for a motion to approve the consent agenda, the mayor will ask if anyone desires to remove an item from the consent agenda for public discussion. Would anybody like to remove any items from the consent agenda? Hearing none, I move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of July the 19th, 2022, the bills and payroll for the last half of July 2022, and resolution number 2022-3201, approving continuance of a local state of emergency due to the coronavirus. We have a second on that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Clausen, and roll call.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Graven. Yes. Mayor Hall.
Yes. Presentations, petitions, and communications. This portion of the city council meeting is reserved for persons who desire to address the council. The Illinois Open Meetings Act mandates that the city council may not take action on comments received on matters that have not been identified on this agenda, but the council may direct staff to address the topic or refer the matter for action on the agenda for another meeting. Persons addressing council are requested to limit their presentations to 3 minutes and to avoid repetitious comments. We would also ask that you state your name and address for the record as well as stand when speaking. Would anybody like to address the council? Now's your chance. Come up front. Yeah, we want to get you to the mic because we got people online. So tell us who you are. And
Hello, everyone. My name is Carlos Ortega. I'm the Executive Director of Elevate Cross Incubation Center, a business incubation center located in Mattoon, Illinois at the Cross County Mall. I would like to address the City Council today based on a number of different conversations I've had with several city councilors on implementing a new revolving loan policy through the city of Mattoon, Illinois. And I would like to just bring that up front and start the process of start that process and the conversation around creating that opportunity for our small business owners and startup businesses in this great city.
now, what dollar amount are you talking about, Carlos?
I'm asking the city council for $100,000.
And it would be, describe a little bit about how that works.
In relation to the revolving loan fund, it would be a grant opportunity for Elevate Cross County Innovation Center, which would allow us to start our own revolving loan fund to create an equitable opportunities for a new startup businesses to either provide gap financing or other types of monies for them to get their businesses up and off the ground successfully.
I assume there'd be an agreement between the city council and I guess it would be actually Elevate would be the other party.
That is correct.
And then I do have one question about this, is the money that goes in there is constantly in use and repaid.
Mm-hmm.
If Elevate goes away, does that money come back to the city?
Yes, that would be an agreement that I would want.
Okay, all right. That's all I want to know. Anybody else?
No, and like I said, this is more for lower loans of, $5,000-$10,000, where typically our revolving loan is much higher than that. So,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to address the council? Okay. We'll go then to new business.
Motion to adopt ordinance number 2022-5454, approving the amendment to the Municipal Code, Chapter 98, Reservoir Control, Section 98.100, Campground and Dock Rules and Regulations to update the lake and campground regulations.
Can we have a second to that motion? Anybody?
I'll second.
Who?
Dave.
Commissioner Cox seconded that. And any discussion?
This is just, we've made changes over the years. Some of them had been codified, some of them had not. So we just basically, I wanted to make sure that we had everything codified. And in the past, there used to be different rules for the East Campground than there was for the West Campground. When we did this, we combined them so all campground rules are the same.
Are we following any federal or state regulations in our,
Not that I can think of right offhand.
I didn't
This
know,
is more.
somebody, your model, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other discussion, any other questions? If none, then roll call.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Graven. Yes. Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Make a motion to adopt special ordinance 2022-1819, authorizing the mayor to sign an outright grant agreement by and between the city of Mattoon and Jasper Holding LLC, reimbursing up to $40,000 from Midtown TIF revenues over a 2-year period for structural repairs and facade improvements to the building located at 1632 Broadway Avenue, and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement.
Can we have a second on that motion?
Second.
Commissioner Clausen, and any comments, discussion, questions?
This is just for the rear facade. It's bowing out. They need to relay some of the brick in the back, and which would be the north and the east corner. This is a very big building. You know, it's probably one of the bigger buildings downtown, where it's 3 stories plus a basement, where most of them are 2 stories. So,
Have we given TIF money to this building before?
yes, we have.
How much
So,
was that?
The last one we gave was, well, I think the only one we gave was 160 or 180, 160, and that was for elevator improvements and mainly for the elevator improvements, because that was a very costly upgrade to be able to have accessibility for all 3 floors.
Right. Okay.
All of these, this one and the next 2 motions have all been approved by the TIF committee, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. All right, any other questions, comments? Let's have a roll call.
Commissioner Graven. Yes. Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
I make a motion to adopt special ordinance number 2022-1820, authorizing the mayor to sign an outright grant agreement by and between the city of Mattoon and Marilyn McLean, reimbursing up to $17,963.15 from Midtown TIF revenues over a 2-year period for facade improvements to the building located at 1813 Broadway Avenue, and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement.
And a second on that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Clausen, and any comments about this one or questions?
This is just facade improvements, repainting, new windows in front.
Okay. All right. And roll call.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Graven. Yes. Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Make a motion to adopt special ordinance number 2022-1821, authorizing the mayor to sign an outright grant agreement by and between the city of Mattoon and the United Way of Coles County, Inc., reimbursing up to $4,895.54 from Midtown TIF revenue over a 1-year period for facade improvements to the building located at 110 North 16th Street, Avenue Street, and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement.
Can we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Commissioner Cox, and any questions on this one? Is this primarily for the awning, by the way?
That is correct.
That's what it is. I know it's all torn up and old and, okay. Okay, so any other comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Graven. Yes. Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes. I move to approve council decision request 2022-2285, approving the reappointments of Gayla McDaniel and Rick Otto to the Planning Commission with terms ending 8/17 of 2027. Can I have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Commissioner Graven, and this is just a standard I called them, they wanted to continue to serve and pretty standard thing here, but any other comments? And roll call, please.
Commissioner Graven,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Motion to approve council decision request 2022-2286, approving the cost proposal in the amount of $55,645 from Northwater Consulting for a nutrient assessment and removal study for the city's wastewater treatment plant, and authorizing the mayor to sign the professional services proposal with Northwater Consulting.
And a second to that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Graven, and any comments on that?
I suppose I should.
Was that?
I suppose I should.
Okay.
EPA is requiring that us and the city of Charleston partner on a study of the streams that we both contribute to, which are Riley Creek and Kicker. The purpose of the study is to determine whether those streams are in danger of excessive algae growth from excessive nutrients that might come from our treatment plants or from farm fields. The work is required to be completed by the end of next year. There's about a year of water sample.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Roll call?
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Graven,
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes. Who's going to do this one?
Whoever. Anybody that wants to make a motion?
Let you do it.
Anybody that wants to make a motion?
Go ahead.
Motion to approve council decision request 2022-2287, awarding the bid in the amount of $192,415 to Fuller Winty, Inc. for the 2022 fire hydrant replacement project.
And a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Commissioner Cox, and any comments on that one?
This work is in preparation for the resurfacing and traffic signal project that IDOT's going to do on Charleston Avenue next year. Most of these hydrants are hydrants we wanted to replace on our own due to age and condition. Some of them are in conflict with where new traffic signals are going or sidewalk ramps.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Graven,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Motion to adopt special ordinance number 2022-1822, accepting the donation from Northwind Development LLC of a right-of-way easement on the east side of Detro Drive and Remington Road, known as Northwind Center, for future construction of a sidewalk.
And a second on that motion.
I'll second.
Commissioner Graven seconded, and any comments on this?
We've been working on these easements since Popper Creek Memory Care Facility was constructed in 2016 or 2017. Every time we get the easements ready to go, the Northwind property changes ownership. And so we're finally at them for a change. And this is the easement near Northwind. We also need one from Lone Elm Development, all the property south to be soon. Got to give credit to David Phipps, who took on the task of negotiating with current owners of development and Lone Elm.
Good deal. All right. Any other questions or comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Graven,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes. And now department report. City Administrator and Community Development, Kyle Gill.
I've been working with fire chief on negotiations. Far as code enforcement, last 2 weeks we did 1 demolition, 2 electrical permits, 6 fence permits, 2 plumbing permits, 2 cut street permits, 4 building permits, and 7 mechanical permits. Also working on a come up that we need to make an amendment to the comprehensive plan for the area around the Home Depot where the proposed sports complex would be, so that it reflects what zoning is out there, that we did change the zoning in 2015. But that's separate from the comprehensive plan, so we need the comprehensive plan to reflect the changes that we did with zoning. And we'll be trying to get that done here in the next month and a half. And that's really all I have for tonight. We are working on some demolitions, Brown Shoe Factory with Dan, and several other projects that are coming up, some solar farms that people come in and talk to me today about, so
Okay.
staying plenty busy.
All right. Any questions for city administrator? None? City attorney, Dan Jones?
Pretty much business as usual. We are working on Brown Shoe Factory. We did last week take a walk around and through Tim Quackenbush's property. Judge Bovard was there. Tim and his legal counsel were there. Chief Gaines and Chief Hurst were there. And Matt and Steve from the building department were there. We got to actually walk through this time. Make points to the judge. We're going to meet with the judge on August 29th and hopefully get some direction from the judge that day about the cleanup process. And I'll report back once I do.
Thank you. Any questions for Dan Jones? Hearing none. City clerk, Susan O'Neill.
Processing new hires and resignations and various reports, insurance issues. Otherwise, business as usual.
Okay, any questions? The city clerk? Hearing none. Let's see. Finance.
So we
That's right.
received the second installment of property tax on July 29th for the general fund and all the TIFs. It's under 1.9 million. The general fund portion will come later. We're going to do revenue tracking. Because the money came in on the 29th, we weren't able to disperse to the pension funds and library until today, so it's going to skew the month and July. And the revenue tracking, show the general funds portion of the property tax. Utility tax for July is new. Utility taxes in total to date is up. Video gaming tax for August, the information is available online today. The video gaming revenue compared to the prior year is slightly down. The unrestricted cash in the general fund as of today, including that property tax money that hasn't gone out yet, it's just under 10.5 million. And the undistributed property tax is about $1.5 million. At the last meeting, we were just over 9 million, so it's pretty much held steady. The auditors came out a week ago Monday. I finalized my end of the preparation. So I have a preliminary unaudited number for the general fund. I know that last winter when we had the audit, the numbers were quite old, so I thought I would report the number that I think it's going to be in terms of the general fund surplus. I think it's just under 2.6 million. 1.2 of that is American Rescue Plan money. But it was nice to see a surplus for the year, fiscal year. And then based on last meeting, I looked at sales tax, the second sheet that I gave you by SIC code, it's standard industrial classification. So all the businesses that report sales tax reported under a separate number, and then these groupings were made by Department of Revenue. I did some spot checking today because I do have access to a detailed list. And some of the numbers just didn't really jive in terms of the SIC code. So I don't know how reliable these categories are. But it's showing that general merchandise is down quarter over quarter. That's the only way to get the information is by quarter. And the most current was the first quarter. But I think the big number is automotive and filling stations. And according to the Department of Revenue, that would include new and used car dealers, automotive
Right.
stores. I'm not sure about the filling stations. Yeah, gasoline service stations. So that's the biggest drop, according to the Department of Revenue.
Overall, those sales taxes are pretty well tracking with the year over year, right? Where I read this.
Well, if you look at the first sheet, a year ago, at this point in time, we were just over 2 million.
Right,
And at this point in time, this year, we're just under 2 million.
right. And then 2 years ago, we were well ahead of that. So, yeah, okay.
And Beth, should those sales tax numbers actually be a little higher with inflation driving up prices?
You would think so, unless people are cutting back.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I get the sales tax information like the first week of the month, so I should be getting that shortly. And there's a 3-month lag. So in August, I'll get May.
Okay.
That's all I have to report, unless there are any questions.
I'll just say video gaming is about what we budgeted. I think what we budgeted is about 56,000 a month. So video gaming is averaging, but I think we finally hit our plateau.
I think we beat the
Right.
budget last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember right, we were rather conservative.
Yeah.
Nice. What percentage of automotive went down year over year?
Quarter over quarter, I didn't calculate a percentage.
It dropped 51,000 from first quarter 21 to first quarter 22. From 428,974 down to 377,848.
Yep. All right, so let's see, no other questions? Public Works, Dean Barber?
Asphalt is scheduled to be placed on DeWitt Avenue next week. Before Allen also is scheduled to install on DeWitt Avenue, east of Logan Street next week. Martell should finish the Logan Street sidewalk job this week. And then next week, they're going to do some patching on Detro Drive by Walmart and McDonald's. They're going to do that work at night after Walmart and McDonald's close at 11, I believe, and have it.
That's concrete work there, isn't it?
That's all I have to report. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, we have plans done for the Little Wabash Drainage District for the highway, finally. And I've started meeting with people. I met with Gary Buskey from Little Wabash Drainage District today. I'm meeting with First Mid, who is the manager of Farm Field. I'll be meeting with the 2 property owners, and as soon as we get everybody on the correct census forward, we'll get everything planned out.
Now, are you done, sure? Okay, so let's go to Fire Chief Jeff Hilligoss.
Thank you. Since our last meeting, the guys have answered 68 calls for service. Inspectors have done 5 inspections and follow-ups. Training the last 2 weeks, they've done hazmat training and their ARF or monthly ARF training, along with several standby events at Bagel Fest. Last week, we also sent 10 guys up to O'Hare to do their live burn for their ARF certification. Been working with Kyle on contract stuff. And I guess tomorrow is Battle of the Badges, blood drive.
Battle of the Badges? What does that entail exactly?
It's a blood drive.
Blood drive, okay.
All of
There-
Coles County.
It's all of Coles County, but it's, you get to go vote on your
I see.
favorite first responders. So,
So there's several organizations that are actually in this.
correct. I think this year, they've got a new coordinator that Sam and I got an email back first part of July and haven't heard from her since. So I heard it on the radio today that it's tomorrow at the DeMar Center here.
Yeah.
And then Friday, I believe it's at wherever Charleston has there.
Yeah.
So police are gonna win again. They go buy tickets and say, go give blood, come back. And sponge it. I can't compete with that, so. But the real winners are the people in need of the blood, so.
Is there a relationship between the number of donuts people eat and blood?
Wow.
Boy,
They are, I did hear they are offering,
Donuts?
free gas for a year. A drawing if you go that they say is worth $6,000.
Oh, wow.
So that ought to be, that's better than donutting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right.
That is all I've got.
Any questions? All right. Now it's your turn. Last,
Your turn.
not
anyone
last
goes
in
out-
this group, between you two guys.
If anyone goes out to donate blood, if you could just say you are there for the fire department, I think they're getting bitter. We're quite frankly getting tired of winning. So
Okay. So that's all you have to report?
it's not, no. Got our berm work done out at the range. We passed our state inspection this past week, so that's good news. Been working on trying to replace all of our body cameras with newer, updated models. Trying to get some figures together for our grant writer. There's a grant coming up for that in September. Had just over 1,200 calls for service, and I don't know what the arrest number is. I forgot to run it.
Okay.
Probably around 30-ish.
All right. Any questions for Chief Gaines tonight? No? Okay, so then we have Arts and Tourism. Angelia.
Our council photo showing this month, so we just finished taking submissions and starting that process. There are auditions this weekend for our first production of the season, Fall Follies, that are this weekend. Switching over to Bagel Fest, I'm not ready to give a full report, but I will have it for the next council meeting. But I've got some really good things to share this evening. Number one, the Bagel Baby Contest, which generates money for St. Jude, collected $2,300 to that end. And on Thursday night, Christmas concert, that's free donation, the free concert, and then a free will donation. And One Stop Community Christmas raised $1,900, which is significant for them. And if you happen to notice the twinkle lights at Bagel Fest, they were a big hit. I don't know if anybody knows, but they were all along the walkway. So that's one of my victories. I got her to put them up. And then we had a record carnival year. It was very slow going in the beginning, and I did not think that this would be possible, but we had record contributions from Carnival to Bagel Fest. We also had record sponsorship.
Great.
So it turned out to be a pretty big year.
Nice. Any questions? Comments? Okay. Let's see, now we go to Commissioner Clausen.
Kyle and I met recently with a representative from Hal Asphalt, starting to look at how we can get the resurfacing of the tennis courts at Peterson Park completed, and then get the lining for the pickleball courts that are going to go in. We got money budgeted for that. I think the question is, I know Hal's awful busy just trying to get this asphalt done before fall. Otherwise, unfortunately, I think it'd be pushed into next spring, is kind of the way they were talking. But this sport is really taking off right now. If you like drive out on, say, a Thursday morning to Boston Park, I went by last week, had like 16 players, some from out of town, Charleston, Effingham were represented. And then they play for a couple hours and then they all head to some restaurant. So
Really? Did you play?
I did not because,
It's
because
for a lot of older people.
I'm so much better than them and I didn't want to show them up
Yeah, well, that's good.
and I want to be able to walk up those stairs. So no, did not.
All right. That's good though, but pickleball is a big.
It is taking off.
Big
Yeah.
tournaments, yeah.
Mhm.
Be in the Olympics before we know it. Let's see, anything else?
No.
All right, then, Commissioner Graven?
Forgot
Cox. Oh.
forgot Mr. Cox.
Commissioner Cox, do you have anything to contribute?
Thank you for not forgetting me, Mayor, but I have nothing this evening. Thank you.
See, I knew that. Go ahead. Commissioner Graven?
I have nothing.
Nothing? And then let's see me. Yes, I do. I know Ed's here. I expected him to do something, and I'm going to give up my time because I don't know what everybody knows about this, but Mattoon made Fortune magazine. If you wouldn't mind, just share a few minutes about what that's about. Ed, the reason why I say Ed, basically 3 people did all of this. And Ed is one of those. So tell us how Mattoon, Illinois made, just come up right up to the mic. I know you're not prepared, but I know you can talk. We only have 3 minutes.
Sorry. No, very exciting news. Not only did we make Fortune magazine, we also made the Wall Street Journal with the fact that we are doing what's called Make Our Move or Move to Mattoon. And it's a great program we worked with Mattoon Emotion, Alex Benachek, Carolyn Boyd, my assistant, and we're very excited about the opportunity to get people to move to Mattoon from outside the areas. I talked a little bit about this at Kiwanis. We had one young lady who's with her husband there. I really think they were planning on moving here. They make a significant salary. She works for Boeing. She can work remotely. And we're very excited about them coming very, very soon. We have 4 other opportunities. We're kind of doing a pilot program right now. We have 4 other opportunities for people to come to Mattoon. And Fortune magazine, they reference us as one of the top 10 opportunities of the 71 different municipalities that are in this program. We are one of the top 10, which is fantastic because we're up against like Omaha, Topeka, Kansas. We're up against some large cities. And for us to get that name recognition, and I know the city even got some calls regarding the Fortune article, and we received an additional 50 people who are wanting to move to Mattoon based on that article and the Wall Street Journal article. The one thing that really excites me about the Wall Street Journal article, they referenced a institute in Brookings Institute in New York, and they say anytime you can recruit a remote worker who has all this ability and all this knowledge, it's almost like getting a small factory or a small tech firm at really no cost because they're moving to your city and who knows if they might invest and bring their knowledge and their children's knowledge into the community for future generations. So we're just so thrilled to have it.
And just real quick, there's a site, if people want to know how it works, you got a website just for this program. What is that?
It's makemymove.com. And then Alex created a site called movetomattoon.com or .org. And I really encourage everyone to look at these 2 sites. He did a fantastic job with this, creating this site. And we've gotten so much play from it. I was joking, we have 2 people internationally, actually 3 now, one from Rio de Janeiro, one from El Salvador, and one from Colombia, who all want to move here based on what they've heard with these programs. So
That's great.
yeah, we're going to keep it to the U.S. for the first 5, but it's just exciting that we're getting on the map, and Mattoon's getting a lot of recognition from this.
We appreciate that. That's a great program, and that's really all I have to contribute. So, but we are going to go to get the right page here. Let's see. I move that we recess to closed session pursuant to the Illinois Open Meetings Act for the purpose of discussion of the appointment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the city or legal counsel for the city under 5 ILCS 120-2C1. Collective, another one is collective negotiating matters between the city of Mattoon and its employees or their representatives, or deliberation concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees under 5 ILCS 120-2C2, and litigation which is affecting the city and action is probable or imminent under 5 ILCS 122C11. We are not voting on anything after we get out of this executive session. We'll end the meeting, we'll reconvene and then adjourn the meeting after that executive session. So we need this roll call.
Second.
Oh, second, I'm sorry. Who would like to second that?
Second.
Commissioner Clausen, second, and now roll call.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Grayman.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes. Okay.
At this time, I'm going to mute and pause the recording until we get back from executive session.
It's just a shame they couldn't spell that. Chills.
Okay.
Yeah, no, there's a couple little things. Jeff, you want to real quickly?
Yeah, real quick. I got the proposal for the remount of 3 X-ray 28, which is one of the first ambulances we got from Charleston.
Right.
It's a 2004 Mark box. When I went to FDIC, they thought it was going to be around $130,000. That's their typical remount price. This price, because they've got
That's just to take the box off of one and put the box on another?
on a new chassis.
On a new chassis.
On a new
So
chassis.
the 130 would be including the new chassis?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so it's about $43,000 higher. The reason is that is not as well built box. They would have to beef up some welds, put in a new floor, do some, it's a 2004, they've got to get it to 20, the current specs, new seat belts. There's a lot of structural stuff that would need to be done.
To the box?
Yeah.
To the box, correct. So I had him give me some prices on a new ambulance. And they are currently around $230,000 to $240,000 for the same dimension, same size. So for the additional $60,000, we could have a new ambulance with a new box with a 20-year warranty that we would be able to remount 3 additional times under that warranty of the box, that could be $100,000 savings each time we do that.
So you said it's 130,000? 134,000?
No, it's
To
170.
remount an
Remount ours.
AEV box onto a new chassis is the 130,000.
Right.
Since our ambulance down there is a 2004 and needs a lot of stuff, this remount is 173,000.
Okay, so the extra 43 was in addition to the 130 that you were talking about?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
That's where I made the connection.
So if we went with new and remounted that onto a new chassis every 4 to 5 years,
Got that for 3
we
times.
could get it 3 times and that's $130,000 now. Each time, I'm sure it's going to go up a little bit higher. But there would be potential $100,000 savings each time we were to remount a new one instead of the current one we have.
How often do we remount these? How many times have we remounted them since we've been in the ambulance business in
We've
2010?
never had one that could be remounted either, other than this.
Correct. The ones we bought would be considered a
We bought one.
throwaway. Yeah, use it for the lifetime. The
Not
industry is trending towards investing in the box so you can just remount it onto a new chassis. So that is where I see quite a bit of savings down the road, you know, if we're in the ambulance business.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry.
Didn't you get a bid or a potential offer to buy a good used ambulance?
And it's coming. It ought to be here next week.
And how much is that? How much was that?
$67,000.
Is there any other out there like that? Or have you looked?
Yes and no. Because there is such a chassis problem, those ambulances are being used longer because they can't get them replaced. The companies don't even have demos anymore because they're selling so fast.
And the ones that do have a remount box, they're just remounting the box.
Correct.
So you're saying it can be remounted 3 or 4 times in that 20 years, right?
The box.
The box onto a new
Box will have
chassis.
a 20-year
So-
warranty, correct.
Why would we, I understand you're probably not going to keep a chassis. I'm assuming that's like the engine and all that other stuff.
Engine.
Correct. All that.
Right, yep. And
So you're saying that basically we're going to buy a new chassis every 4 or 5 years?
that's
Just,
typically.
yes,
That-
just the chassis, because we
Have
have,
we, what's been our purchase over the 20 or 10, 12 years that we've been in the?
Well, ours has been about 8 years is what our schedule was, trying to schedule ours. And really just goes by funds and miles and stuff like that. The problem is the diesels are not lasting as long as they used to.
Because they don't make
The
vehicles,
gas
they make them
system's the
to
problem.
throw away.
You know, start causing problems. So what used to last 8 years is now lasting about 5 years. So a lot of them are going to gas, which the gas is getting to be to where the engines are better. They don't have the DEV system. So they are lasting about 5 years where they used to, last 4. They're getting a little bit longer on the miles.
So is there any Decatur ambulances that we might be able to get when they shut down?
Right.
I have no idea. But in all, I have, every time I talk to anybody with an ambulance, I ask, is there any used ones out there? And they're just they're not.
Most of them are like ours.
I know.
Really old, a lot of miles.
And with
So
that,
where would
I
this
say
be?
5 years, if we may be able to stretch that a little farther if we aren't doing transfers, because the ambulances we have down there now, the reason they have the amount of miles is because we were doing transfers. So we might be able to,
So where would this money come from?
So I mean, like we put 130,000 in the budget this year. We're hoping to be able to put 130,000 more next year in the meat fund. So that's what we're trying to build up for those types of things. Well, the 130,000 this year, we thought we were going to order an ambulance, maybe get it next year. We found a used one that was 67,000. So we went ahead and purchased that one. So we do
So
have
that'll
some,
subtract from the 130.
yeah.
So how long would it take to order this one and get it in?
12 to 14 months.
Wow.
So it would be in next fiscal year's budget. And I just want you guys to chew on this and think about it. This proposal is good until September 16th. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention that,
And we're going to do some investigating
Right.
and, whether or not we, finance it for a couple of years. So that way you break it down into the budget.
So if we approve September 16th, and then 12 to 14 months, so it jumps into our next fiscal year to pay for it.
yes,
Understand it
And,
right?
and you may do it in 2 payments. where
Right.
You pay half of it next year's budget and half of it in the following year.
that is going to be, I didn't want to bring it up in my report this, tonight, but next week, I will be including that in the report because I'm going to need a direction to go, how we want to go with this before the debt, the proposes.
So then what would we do? The one that we're getting replaces,
The one that would need remount.
Right.
is not one of the two that are in operations right now.
The one that is, of the two that are in operation, we would be moving one of those to backup. And this other one will go frontline. Then the new one would replace
One of the old,
the backup, and the other ambulance would go backup.
and then what are we going to do with the one that doesn't work?
Well,
Well, yeah, we'll trade it in. We'll trade
it in, yeah.
trade it in on if we decide to go new, we'll trade it in with that new.
There you go.
So we're,
Or sell it, but we'll probably get
Yeah.
more out of the trade-in.
and then to complicate matters even more, just something to think about. That is a van chassis, that 230 to 240. If we switch to a truck chassis and did the same thing, those are $270 to $300,000. But when we go to remount those, we would have a truck chassis that could go to Parks Department. We could, right now with the van chassis, because I talked about keeping this chassis off this one when we did it, there's a huge hole in the back because it's a walkway to get from the front to the back. And there's really no good way to seal that up. In the truck chassis, it's just a window. So it'd be like a pickup truck with a little sliding window to communicate through. That if we went to a truck chassis, that could save truck purchases for other departments in the future. Just throwing it out there.
That adds $30,000 to $40,000 more.
Yes, they are. And unfortunately, those right now would be diesel. And I quite honestly would like to get away from diesel because our engine that's diesel, that DEF system, it's going to be covered under warranty hopefully, but 5 years and they're having to replace things because, that DEF system has destroyed the longevity of diesels.
And the repeater systems that we use with federal funds and some radios, is that been purchased and operational?
Not operational yet. It's been purchased. They're still waiting on.
And we were partnering with Charleston or?
They're doing some as well.
Oh, that's part of it.
County.
Yeah. That's about what, 500,000, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing is
Thanks, Jeff.
brokerage for health insurance. We've been talking about whether or not to go out for brokerage, request for proposals. Susan's done a little bit of checking in with some other cities. We met with the CBiz that, they, like most brokers, they say they're going to save you money, but not really got into details of how. I mean, other than the same stuff that we hear from everybody. But that, they're eager, so I don't know, that may be something. Kind of looking into it, seems like every city does a little bit different. And when Susan has got some communications, they've all pretty much said, well, my guy would like to bid on your brokerage fees.
Some of them have, yes.
I don't know what you guys' thoughts are. I mean, if we do this, we have to pretty much have something done next council meeting to meet the timeline to get this done this year.
So what, just putting it out for bid is what you're talking about?
The brokerage out for bid, and then the broker will
Broker
go
of
out.
record, right?
Yeah, the broker of record, and the broker will go out and negotiate, try to do, a better deal with whoever they use, third party, which they may continue to talk with Aetna. So, I mean, if they
So
continue
who's our
to
broker now? First Mid?
First Mid, if they continue to, talk to Aetna, I don't think that they would get a better deal from Aetna than what First Mid does, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know how. but they may also be able to bring in others that First Mid wasn't able to bring in. You know, it's kind of one of those, it's hard to quantify savings there one way or the other. Just like when we went from Arthur Gallagher to Diamond Brothers, you know, they said they could save us up to 300,000 like they did the school district. Well, they didn't save us that. Did they save us some? It's hard to tell because, you know, we went through a different company. We did see an increase in our property casualty, but it was not a huge increase, and we don't know what we would have had with Arthur Gallagher. We may have had probably we would have had an increase, but we don't know how much. Very rarely do you see a decrease, but so those are always hard to quantify
You know,
what the deal is, and
we tried to find an independent, of course, party that could help us evaluate this. I called the Illinois Municipal League, and they've tried to find those people before too, and a lot of other cities have tried to find those. The problem is that people will guarantee a lot of things. Insurance is almost, particularly health insurance, is almost impossible to judge what the costs are going to be.
Well, a lot of times too, you get that they catch a really good deal the first year.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They just kill you from that
Right.
point on. Just
Right.
get your foot in the door because it's kind of like changing doctors. It takes a lot to get changed because of all the issues. So yeah,
This is also a huge manpower drain to do something like this. It takes a lot of people, a lot of hours to make a change, if we make a change. And right now, the resources it's tough right now. We've got a lot of things going on. And I don't know what the answer is, but I'm sure we can find someone to tell us. I can save you a lot of money. And then, well,
they do sometimes for the first year.
right,
And after
right,
that,
yeah.
yeah. And that happens all the time.
And the only other way to counter that is, I think we brought it up, sign a 3-year contract. You know exactly what you're getting for 3 years. Have we ever gone out for bids on broker of record for health insurance in the last?
Yeah, we
Not
just
in a long time.
changed. Well, didn't.
not for the health insurance.
Oh,
Not for health.
Things for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do a 3-year, but usually that costs more because that is they're set in that so that when they bid it higher because they've got to assume that risk, not knowing. So
Yeah, my guess is if you went out and
We've
got
had
several
time.
companies to do that, they'd all be higher, and then we'd say, okay, now.
you know, Aetna's guaranteed us some discounts on prescriptions for the next 3 years. You know, they did that. You know,
Each couple of years.
yeah. Well, I mean, last year was the first year
Right.
of a 3-year guarantee on savings on some prescriptions. So you know, we've done some of those things in the past. They've said, okay, we're not going to change your stop loss for the next 3 years. You know, we've had deals where we've done that in the last 8 years. You know, a couple different times where we got locked into
Our
some
admin, not our stop
Yeah.
loss. Our stop
Our
loss
yeah.
changes all the time.
admin. They lock in the admin for 30 years. Like I said, last year they gave us a proposal where we would save prescription costs for the next 3 years. They would
Give us
share back
Rebates.
money and rebates, and it increases each year, I believe.
I think that wasn't because we kind of thought about moving away.
Yes.
And they stepped up.
Yeah. 'cause
I like what Sarah Bush is doing, giving you a 15% discount if you pay within 30 days. Those are pretty hefty
Yeah.
on your, whatever you have to pay, you know, what the 80/20 doesn't pay.
So thoughts on that would be nice, just so we know if we're going to put something on the next agenda.
So the agenda item would just be to
Request
Bid
an
it out.
RFP, right?
request an
Take RFPs.
How much work does that mean for you, Susan, as far as providing them?
Depends how many come in, right?
Well, that just depends, you know. Yeah. It would take some time.
What kind of information do they request generally?
It just depends. There's usually, it would be trying to get information out of Aetna and then to turn that around and have them present that. I don't know, census data, probably large claims data.
That's not something we provide, that's getting it from
Yeah.
Aetna, right? So
It's like getting a lost history, basically.
Lost history. it would take a little time. That's why we need to know, whether you really want to do that. I didn't know. We can make it happen, but it will take time.
Well, I don't want to put any more added stress on you if it's not gonna,
No.
which we don't know if it's gonna produce any huge savings, so.
You don't know, yeah. Nor probably would you know until after, I mean, because what you might save in something with a broker, they may not be able to save so much. It's very difficult to quantify everything, I think.
Everybody does it a little bit different, so it's never apples to apples. I mean, we even found that out when we were bidding, the work comp and the property and casualty, that, everybody does it a little bit different. So then you're trying to narrow down the numbers. Well, you get a discount with IPRF. They give you a grant every year, which is based off an audit of how well you did. And so you're trying to take the average of those refunds you get every year and play into the total cost of what it was. And, RMA does it a little bit different, and
That's true.
and does grants a little different their way. So it's really trying hard to compare those. And I think the last time we did the RMA and the Arthur Gallagher's, I mean, it was really close, but I mean, it looked far apart at first, but the more you dug into it and get all those in there, they were really, I think there was only $50,000 or $60,000 different.
And I'm not saying, Commissioner Clausen brought up something to see if we could get First Smith to separate that out. Right now, it's a percentage. And if we could get them to separate it out, say, well, this is how much, have it separate instead of included in with. We used to do that 20-some years ago. They used to just pay us a flat fee for their brokerage instead of having it incorporated in with the cost of the per member per month.
Like
What we have now. So I mean, that might cause it to be a little less. I mean, and I've already asked them if they could separate it out. They said they could, so.
I think
That could, I don't know.
the thing to remember, an RFP is not bid specs.
Right,
Bid specs are a piece of cake.
right,
You're going to go this deductible and this stop loss.
right.
The RFP is, this is our plan. The only thing that I would, and maybe we can do this before we decide to vote, is look at the cities that CBIZ has in Illinois, a Waterloo, an Altamont, come to mind, I think I counted 10, and we'll give them a call and say, how long have you had CBIZ? If they say we've had them 5 years, they've been perfect, no, they haven't jumped the rates second year, and maybe get a little history from those towns. And I know it's a workload, I don't mind taking the lead on that, and it may be, hey, we had them, then second year jumped. But if we had that data, I think that would be important. But I think what Susan's saying here, and Kyle, and you got to move on this fast, because it could
Because the
be
time is-
labor intensive,
Yeah,
but
well, and then for them to go out and rebid everything, would,
Yeah, give the
whoever,
brokers
if
time
we
to
change
go out.
brokers, then it would,
And this is just for health insurance?
health only.
right. Well, it'll be health and dental.
Well, medical type, rather.
Dental about, there's only one usually.
What's driving the time right now? What's driving the short term that we have to make a decision?
To get the RFP out and get responses back, and then for them to bid out the insurance all before,
January 1.
Oh, November,
basically.
November
Because, I mean,
1,
if we switch something, yeah.
November 1.
There's all kinds of applications that have to be, everybody has to fill out a new application.
Is there a reason why we have to get it done this November 1? I mean, what, if we're
Well, it's
do
for the, it's for the next, it's calendar year,
Yeah,
not fiscal year.
Well, but I'm just saying, if we want to really do this and we're trying to get something done quickly, why don't we do it a year from now? Say,
that's up to you guys.
well, I know that, I'm just throwing that out.
Start.
When we have some time, now you might argue, well, you might miss a year of savings, which is possible, or you might miss a year of additional costs, which is also possible. You don't really know.
Well, if we waited to see what if they separate it out, to see what First Mid is, willing to quote us for, I don't know.
How many bidders do we expect?
We basically have 3 months to get this done if we go right now.
Right.
3 months.
If we can get it done in August, yeah.
Mhm.
That's,
How many what, Rick?
How many bidders would we expect on this? How many agencies were?
RFP, well, you're going to have at least 2, right?
yeah, there's at least,
First mid, see,
at least 4 or 5 that are,
That you choose from eventually?
that they, yeah, that they would be interested, but I don't know. I don't know who they could go out and get for our group. That's the only thing, if we switch
They did
brokers.
first mid try other people and nobody wanted to bid for us, or?
they tried other companies, right?
Yeah, they tried other companies. You
We
know,
we had something unique that was,
We have retirees on,
Retirees.
and a lot of them don't want to quote retirees. But I think, CBIZ acted like they would, but like you said, Jim, probably should check to see what.
I'll do
what
that.
others-
I'll
You
just
don't
call.
have time, I mean,
I know I'll make some calls and just see if they're happy with them and how long they've been with them, and maybe just create a spreadsheet, and then we all decide if it's worth it. I think that'd be the best way to go, because I think they showed us 1,400 clients, a bunch in Missouri, but obviously some municipalities in Illinois, and then some school districts, which obviously don't apply to us, but
yeah, you'd like to give
I can do that, kind of summarize it and get it to you guys. I can get that done next.
You'd like to get one that we similar to the size of employees that we have insured,
Exactly.
rather than,
that's the tough part, finding.
I mean, you got.
There might be one like Waterloo comes to mind, I think, employee wise. What are we, 130 full-time?
yeah.
And then how many retirees and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. There's about, they quoted us 185,
Mhm.
including the retirees. Not those on the supplement, but just retired. That's what, they were looking at. Aetna was looking at this year.
What I took out of that meeting is you got to look at your stop loss and you got to negotiate pharmaceutical prices. Those are the two.
Those
cost-
are the rebates that
Those are
they've
the two
already
cost
said.
drivers. Yeah.
Aetna's already said
Yeah.
that they would, give us some rebates on.
I'll look at a little closer. It may be a Waterloo and a couple others which are comparable to us, and throw it out to you guys, let you look at it. Just give us some thought.
Let Kyle know definitely if,
Mhm.
one way or the other, it doesn't matter. Just need to know so then we can prepare. That's less than a week away, so. To get it ready to go
Do it.
for the next meeting.
If you're good with that, Mayor.
Yeah,
I make a few calls.
On these calls, to have a comparison, I don't know what you would rate these insurance companies on, but I mean, service is one, cost is one. I don't know if there's a couple of things, but I don't think you can just ask them, well, how do you feel about it?
No,
You got to say, would you rank them a 5 on a 5-point scale for service, or what would you rank them on a cost, or following up, or 2 or 3 things that you could ask them so that you could say, okay, I've ranked all these on the same measurements and bring it back to us. So we have something to compare.
Yeah, and when's the last time they bid their brokerage too?
Yeah, I mean, you
Because-
ask that, sure,
there's-
that's basic
I know
information.
one city that Susan talked to was similar to us. They haven't changed for 20 years, so.
Well, why don't the 3 of us just kind of, we'll draw
Together.
up the parameters of what to ask.
It doesn't be real complicated, but you got to be able to.
And then it may be, who knows, maybe a non-starter, but we'll, take a look to see.
Still awake?
Need a motion.
We need a motion, somebody.
Yeah.
Anybody want to make a motion? Hey,
I'm fascinated.
you make a motion?
You want to make a motion?
Dave?
I
Yeah.
want you to make a motion, Dave.
Mayor, I'd make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay, can we get a second on that?
Second.
All right, we have a second. And a roll call.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Graven,
No.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Ooh.
Me or?
So what would have happened if,
Thank y'all.
no,
Thank you.
no.